Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm your host, Ben, and Krista is out this whole week, so everyone, hey, you're stuck with me. It's okay. She will be back, and everyone, welcome back into the Computer America Show. So today on the program, we have a full hour of computer and technology news, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about, including an alleged Russian spy hack that is... raising a lot of alarm bells. It could be pretty big. We have another one about Google Photos and a whole new way to experience your photos that Google is using some artificial intelligence to really, kind of spruce them up. Everything about the recent Gmail, Google, YouTube, the whole Google suite kind of went down yesterday, and we're going to find out if there were any updates or what happened. Of course, everything came back up, but hey, even just these basic services were down for like 35 minutes. Like, it was not long, but man, it sent the entire world into like a what's happening kind of thing. So we're going to find out about that, all that and more, a lot here on Computer America. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, computeramerica.com, that is where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, all of our shows. You can find that there on our website with links to anything that we talk about. The show notes are one of the key parts because obviously if you're listening to the show and you want to find out more about something, I make sure to keep all of the links, all of the material, and put them into the show notes so that you can find them just that simply. Also, while you're there, check out the podcast version of the show, Simply Today's Show rebroadcast as a podcast. It's a great way to catch a show. If you can't catch it live on IRN, you can catch it on the podcast. We highly recommend it. And last but not least, of course, find us on social media at Computer America on all platforms. Give us a like, give us a follow. It helps us out. And hey, you get to stay up to date with what it is that we do here on the program. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're, even to this, even to the second, we are still looking for more and more stories, but I hope everyone out there is doing well. It's obviously the holidays. It's going to be a weird set of holidays, but you know what? It's going to be okay. And I should probably mention as well, really before it happens, I should mention this every single program. Computer America traditionally takes off the 2 weeks. It's going to be like a week and a half. Our last show is going to be Wednesday, the 23rd. We will be taking the 24th and the 25th off. That'll be December 24th, December 25th. And then the following week, the 21st through the 25th, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the calendar all wrong. The 28th through the 1st, we will have that off as well. And then January 4th, Monday, we'll be good to go. And we'll be back with a brand new year of Computer America. So January 4th, December 23rd, last show, 24th through the 3rd, we will not have new programming. So, there you go. And everyone, let's go ahead and head into computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Here we go. let's go ahead and start with, let's go ahead and start with, okay, let's do this one. And this happened. So a couple of these stories I want to catch up on because obviously yesterday we didn't really have a program. But today we're going to cover these. And one of the big ones was, of course, Google and Google Gmail and many other services, including YouTube. These are like 3 of the top 5 websites in the entire world. Their services went down. It started around 11:56 Greenwich Mean Time and affected the entire world. It's really incredible when you think about how pervasive Google has become to our daily lives and how useful YouTube videos. I mean, think about all the websites that have YouTube videos embedded on their websites because they assume that Google is or YouTube is such a stable platform to upload your videos. It's actually a great way to do that. Think about all the people who use Gmail, the billion plus users that use Gmail. Think about just Google searches. I mean, it's most people's, just homepage. It's huge services, and all 3 of them, were inaccessible, saying that obviously you get this image here of a monkey with a wrench, or monkey with a hammer, insinuating that, they're being worked on. And obviously, lots of 400 errors, lots of issues. Google has yet to comment, and this article from the Mirror did not have. Let's see, why? Yeah, and clearly they haven't. They haven't really said anything. They said that it was caused by, and let's see, this is updated yesterday. This article from India Today, of all places, mentioned that Google had said it ran out of storage on Monday evening, and that it caused all services to go offline, which is super strange considering that Google is the one who provides storage for everyone else. They provide storage on their photos, on their on YouTube. They provide storage everywhere else, and I guess they just hadn't allocated the proper resources to their own storage needs. So with that being said, they said that in a statement, a Google spokesperson told India Today that its services experienced what is known as an authentication system outage for about 45 minutes due to the said internal storage quota issue. To simplify this, the Google spokesperson explained the internal tools that the company uses to allocate sufficient storage to each service that handles authentication did not work as expected. After the storage limit was exhausted, the system failed to automatically make more storage available, causing the system to crash. So it looks like they had a system for a system. The system in place to allocate even more resources for the authentication did not go off as planned. There was a glitch, and it caused everything to kind of go down. So the outage impacted smart devices that need Google Assistant to work, and obviously things like Nest speakers, smart light switches, and security cameras all went haywire for just a brief time. The impact was so intense that people had to sit in the dark because of their internet connected services stopped working. Think about if you have a home fully integrated with kind of Google services, that will certainly do it. So with that being said, Google, hopefully they it's not a science, they're going to figure it out, they're going to get it working, but that was very unfortunate that happened yesterday. So if you didn't hear about the issue, essentially a glitch was the answer to that. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and also talk about this one. This happened sometime Sunday, I believe, but oddly enough, going from India Today to this happened in India. I'm sorry. An iPhone production plant in Taiwan. So not India, Taiwan. Here we go. So let's see. This was iPhone production run by Taiwan-based. Oh, no. This wasn't India, but the plant was run by a Taiwan-based company. So worker protest at an iPhone manufacturing plant. If you haven't seen the video from that, man, those workers did not take it casually. No, they went quite far with the damages caused to the building. I mean, even this photo of the building, you can see that the majority of windows in the building were smashed out and just completely destroyed. I think the whole thing caused about $7 million in damages, and of course there were many millions more in stolen product as well. And what caused all this? Well, I guess a worker dispute, and by worker dispute, I mean the workers worked and the company didn't pay the wages, did not pay the wages, which is the most basic of dispute that you can have. So obviously that went down, and let's go ahead and find out more. So everyone, here we go. Worker protests at an iPhone manufacturing plant in India have caused $7 million in damages, according to Reuters. Workers at the plant, owned by a Taiwanese-based company, Wistron, said that they haven't been paid what they were promised and are demanding better working conditions. I mean, look at it. The whole place is smashed up. I joke. That's not the point. Moving on. The Times of India has several on-the-ground reports and dramatic video of the protest. The news org reports a majority of the nearly 2,000 employees who were exiting the facility after completing their night shift went on a rampage, destroying the company's furniture, assembly units, and even attempted to set fire to vehicles. Pretty bad stuff. The Times of India has also details on the salary workers were supposed to be getting, with the report quoting an employee as saying, while an engineering graduate was promised about $286 per month, his or her salary was reduced to $218 a month, and subsequently $160 in recent months. Non-engineering graduates' monthly salary has reduced to about $100 a month. So think about that, and obviously, to American wages, that seems very, very low. But at the same time, we're talking about rubles are Russian. I'm not sure what currency India is currently using. But anyways, 16,000, 12,000, so on and so forth. The salary amount being credited to our accounts have been reduced, and it was frustrating to see this. Some workers claim to have gotten as little as $500 or about $6.80 for a monthly salary. So it's not even the fact that you're getting zero and there you go. It's that they were making cuts and cuts and cuts until eventually, some people were even just working for, and I feel like even slave wages I've heard are better than $6.80 a month. Obviously, Wistron is one of Apple's top suppliers, and Apple says it is investigating the company to see if it violated its supplier guidelines. India is the world's second largest smartphone market after China, but India is an extreme competitive, price-conscious market that Apple has struggled in. Saying that they only capture about 3% of the market. One way for Apple to lower prices in India is to build the phones locally, allowing it to dodge Indian import fees, and are especially high on goods made in China because obviously, again, China, India have a bit of a competition when it comes to manufacturing goods. And if you're wondering, kind of looking at the most recent lineup of iPhones coming out of the latest iPhones coming out of Apple, that is kind of one of the reasons why is that that's the reason why they have like the it's like the iPhone mini or like the iPhone mini or iPhone what is that thing called? That thing's called it's the iPhone 12 mini. Yes. One of the reasons is that they can manufacture it locally in India, and they can hit a price point that is much, much lower. The actual cost of this thing is, let's see. Obviously, it's going to be a lot less, and it's going to be... Looking at right here, again, if you're watching the video portion, you can see it there. And of course, Fort in the chat room saying, I still have my iPhone 5. Yeah, the iPhone 5 is still chugging along, but I wouldn't count on that for much longer. Again, the iPhone 12 and then the mini, you're looking at about $699, which is still expensive, but not as expensive as some phones. I think in India is even more price conscious than that. I mean, when your average salary in India is probably in the neighborhood of, $500 a month, US dollars. It's hard to justify spending that much money for a phone. So obviously phones that are going to be in the $200 to $300 ranges are going to be much more popular in India. So they're trying to try and do as best they can. So there you go. A lot of the headlines I saw about this article, were like Apple's not paying their workers, Apple's not paying their wages. Not at all. And a lot of people were very combative with Apple, just reading the headlines that sparked all that. They were saying that, Apple's worth untold amount of money and, they're not paying their workers a basic fee and, good on the workers for destroying the place. First of all, violence, never the answer. Second of all, not even Apple. This was a supplier to Apple who probably caters, strictly to Apple. So people might consider them Apple's, kind of Apple's company. But at the same time, it was a completely separate manufacturer. Apple does not own their entire supply chain. And so even if these guys work strictly for Apple, they're still contractors. And an independent company was not paying their worker their fair wages. So yes, Apple's suppliers are not paying their workers money. And hopefully Apple can can kind of address that by looking into it and seeing if they want to continue working with them. But man, it's really, really hard to see that, especially in these economic times, that, hey, people aren't getting their fair salary. It's definitely makes you appreciate some of the workers' rights and salary protections that we have here in the United States. So, click achieved, click gotten. Let's go ahead and continue on here. And so we're covering some of the old ones, from yesterday and this weekend. I wanted to also cover, there was, not that one. Let's talk about this one. I had heard nothing about this. Pinterest as a company, I know that it is very popular with, kind of different segments of the market that I am not, as a 30-year-old white male, I am just not really Pinterest target audience. I mean, they'll accept me, but it's not really for me. And I did not even hear about this lawsuit. It looks like it has been agreed to a settlement where Pinterest agrees to a $22.5 million settlement and discrimination lawsuit. It's like, what? Why? So they said that settlement is one of the largest ever in this kind of case, and that's what the lawyer said. So Pinterest has reached a major settlement with a former executive who filed a lawsuit alleging rampant gender discrimination. I guess at the end of the day, Pinterest is still a tech company in that regard. After she was pushed out of her role at the firm, the company disclosed Monday. So the lady in question served as Pinterest's chief operating officer from March 2018 until April of this year. In August, she filed suit with the company alleging her dismissal had nothing to do with her performance and instead was an act of retaliation against her for complaining about discrimination inside the company. There you go. So, while preparing Pinterest for its 2019 IPO, Brower discovered that she had been deliberately misled about the executive compensation at the firm and was being significantly underpaid compared to her male C-suite colleagues. Because again, she was a chief operating officer. It's not like she was, someone in any other position. She was C-level. After she brought the discrepancy to the attention of the CEO, she was squeezed out of the executive and board meetings and communications, and she was, and as a result of that retaliation, became unable to perform her job. There you go. Because obviously if you're the chief operating officer and you have no idea about the current operations of the company, you cannot, kind of direct the company as it needs to be directed. And eventually something's going to slip and they're going to find some reason to fire you based on your performance. But the performance could not be performed. There you go. So Bauer and her attorney will receive $20 million, and Pinterest will donate $2.5 million towards organizations that advance the causes of women in underrepresented communities in the technology industry. So there you go. Pinterest at the time said that the company leadership and the board are committed to continuing our efforts to ensure that Pinterest is a place where all of our employees feel included and supported, and blah 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 other generic stuff. It's so weird too, because it's not even like it's insert random male dominated tech platform like maybe esports, video games. Think about I don't know, just gadgets in general really are kind of male dominated. But I mean, this is Pinterest. Like, it's a service that really has a strong audience with women and caters to, kind of the more creative, artsy aspects of people. It really surprises me that a company like that would, kind of fall victim to the same practices as other tech companies. But it's settled out of court. It's done for, it's kind of done with. And regardless of the $20 million settlement that the lawyers are enjoying, the $2.5 million should go a long way to these organizations to help promote equality. So that caught me by surprise, though. I had not heard anything about a Pinterest lawsuit as a concern to that. So there you go. Yep, there you go. So that was, that was story number, wow, we're blazing right through these things. Story number 4, story number 5, though. Story number 5, let's go ahead and talk about some hacking. And there's 2 about Russia. There's this one about an alleged Russian hack called SolarWinds, which I have no idea what it's actually about, but let's go ahead and start talking about this. SolarWinds, alleged Russian SolarWinds hack, probably an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, random cybersecurity expert says. Gotta love those guys. There's always someone available to, kind of comment on cybersecurity issues. CNN, give me a call. I'd be happy to come on and tell you that we're all doomed and all computers are going to come to a halt. That'd be great. Anyways, a cybersecurity expert warned that the alleged Russian hack of SolarWinds software, which affected top government agencies, is probably an 11 in terms of seriousness on a scale of 1 to 10. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security warned on Sunday that users of SolarWinds should disconnect or disable the software after it was discovered hackers had compromised an update from the company earlier this year. Unidentified sources told Reuters and the Associated Press that Russian hackers were believed to be behind the cyber attack, which hit federal government agencies and many top national companies. Let's see. So, and I'm really curious what SolarWinds actually does. So they mentioned that it's an 11, not from an infrastructure standpoint, like going from an energy grid or taking things down, but simply from the loss of information, the stealing of secrets, especially very sensitive information, and the fact that they're going that this was going on for months. So, saying that, quote, "We have yet to even understand how big the damage assessment will be, but I guarantee you by the time it's done, it will be far worse than what we think it is right now, because we still haven't uncovered all the people that have been attacked by this campaign." So, and of course that was, I believe that was Randy Watkins, Chief Technology Officer of Critical Start. There you go. So obviously the primary motivation will for cyber attacks are monetary theft and destruction, obviously, and when it's state, kind of state wage, that's even more. So the new hack, so here it is, the new hack has affected Treasury Department and Commerce Department's emails, and SolarWinds software is used by many other federal agencies, including the Pentagon, White House, and NASA. Reuters reported Monday that the Department of Homeland Security was impacted as well, and SolarWinds' website says that more than 425, I'm not good at math, but 425 out of the U.S. Fortune 500 companies use its software as well. There you go. NBC News reported Monday that thus far there is no evidence that classified U.S. government networks were breached and that the scope of the attack remains under investigation. Actually finding out, like, we may never find out exactly what it is that they were able to access, but it sounds like they got in pretty low level, and they were able to get almost anything that flowed through SolarWinds. So obviously a lot of Fortune 500 companies and some of the top departments and most sensitive departments in the United States, in the United States government have been compromised as well. So we'll never actually know. Now, in a Monday update, SolarWinds suggested that thousands of clients had potentially been impacted by the vulnerability, which had arisen through an update in the spring, saying that SolarWinds currently believes that the actual number of customers that may have had an installation of the Orion products that contained this vulnerability to be fewer than 18,000. But what does that really mean? When they say customer, do they count the entire United States Defense Department as one customer with 15,000 systems? Saying that it's fewer than 18,000 customers, that tells you almost nothing, though. So Russia has denied any involvement in the cyber attack, as always, but Moscow's effort to interfere with government and private systems around the world have been well documented and reported by the U.S. and allied intelligence agencies. So obviously the spokesperson for Vladimir Putin said that these accusations are preposterous. Russia has figured out since 2016 that, hacking and disinformation and doing things online, it's only getting worse. And, there are systems in place now that are starting to try to come to terms with it, but it's just not working very well. Russia has long figured out that it's a lot cheaper to have a building full of people that you pay in shifts. Some shift workers make widgets and doodads and gadgets. They have shifts that just produce false information, fake news, that drum up a conspiracy, that push the envelope on all sides of political and just average discourse on the internet. If they can pay hundreds of people to do that and get, really just turn up the heat when it comes to online discussion, and they can pay a bunch of people to do that. They can pay a bunch of people to kind of use the latest vulnerabilities and hack people. They found out that sitting behind a computer screen is much safer than sending agents out there into the world and kind of getting them caught, getting their spies captured. It's a lot easier to do it from a chair. So there you go. So there's no running from it. There's no backing away from it. Russia is certainly they're listening. So hey, welcome into the Computer America Show once again, everyone. Let's see. So let's do something a little more lighthearted here than that. Let's talk about. Actually, we're not going more lighthearted. I take that back. Let's keep talking about this just for a little bit from a different angle. Facebook takes down fake accounts linked to French military in Russia. And social media has this problem where, there's just no way around it. Even your allies, like the French, are going to have fake Facebook accounts because, linked to French military in Russia. So fake accounts. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this. So the networks targeted countries in North Africa and the Middle East, and there's a lot of ways to take that. Like my immediate reaction is is the French military using fake, using fake profiles to stir up the same thing that Russia is, or are accounts making fake fronts for France and Russia? I don't know. That's very weird. So with that being said, Facebook has taken down 3 networks of fake accounts for coordinated influence campaigns. The company said that the networks had ties to individuals linked to the French military and Russia's Internet Research Agency. So yeah, that's there you go. So the French military is definitely using accounts for fake information campaigns. Now, the takedowns represent the first time Facebook has uncovered coordinated, inauthentic behavior linked to people associated with Western countries' military, according to the company's head of security and policy. He added that the company's investigation did not find evidence of institutional support from the military. Let's see. So what does that mean? That means that this was not sanctioned or ordered by the military, but instead was done by individuals at the military. Pretty strong distinction, but at the same time, it's also a very weak distinction because, the individuals linked could also just say, "Oh no, I did that by myself. No one higher up ever told me to do that, especially not my, commanding officer." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's pretty strange. So, a bit of a typo here. I can only I can only assume that they mean 16,000 here. So the network consisted of 84 Facebook accounts, 14 Instagram profiles, Facebook pages, Facebook pages and 6 Facebook pages and 9 groups, which had amassed about 5,000 followers and 1,600 group members. Obviously, unfortunately for Engadget, there's a couple of typos in there. Might want to fix that. But according to Facebook, the network posted primarily in French and Arabic about news and current events, including France's policies in Francophone Africa, the security situation in various African countries, claims of potential Russian interference in the election in the Central African Republic, supportive commentary about the French military, and criticism of Russia's involvement in Central African Republic. I can only assume the fact that they got caught. It was something like, wow, those French military guys, so strong and brave and handsome, and wow, they're here to help us through everything. I love us. I mean, the French military. I can only assume. Now, notably, the spokesperson here said that the French network had also engaged with content from one of the other networks tied to Russia, saying that while we've seen influence operations target the same region in the past, this was the first time our team found 2 campaigns, one from France and one from Russia, actively engaged with one another, including by befriending, commenting, and criticizing the opposing side for being fake. So they were coordinated to some extent. That's confusing because I don't know everything about the European, Russian, kind of sentiments towards one another. I always thought that Russia was pretty adversarial to Europe in general, through the European Union and everything that they criticized there. It would surprise me if they had any kind of much higher up coordinated efforts, but they found evidence. So they mentioned that the 2 networks tied to Russia also posted about Africa as well as the Middle East, with one network focused primarily on the Central African Republic and one focused primarily on Libya, Sudan, and Syria. The latter group gained more than 5 million followers and spent nearly $200,000 in advertising on the platform. That's incredible. They mentioned that both networks were linked to Russia's Internet Research Agency, the infamous troll farm that gained notoriety for its 2016 interference in the United States. So, yeah, Russia's not going to shut that down. That agency has proved their usefulness. And for such a small budget, $200,000 sounds like a lot to an individual or even like a small, kind of group of people. But to a government agency like Russia, $200,000 is such a bargain. Facebook also said that the IRA used a familiar tactic in its campaign focused on Central Africa, using content from actual local journalists to bolster its credibility, and Facebook and Twitter previously uncovered an IRA network that ran a literal fake news site in the US that tricked unsuspecting journalists into creating content for them. It's 200,000 is certainly attainable. It sounds like what they were talking about there with the literal fake news site. These organizations, and obviously, kind of coming from the world of media that we do, we kind of get it. Is that these writers to pick up, to kind of make money. If you are approached by a seemingly reputable news organization, and you say, hey, for, I don't know, let's say maybe for $500 or $1,000, will you write an article for us? And you say, and of course the journalist says, $500 for an hour of work, and I just have to slap my name on it, and they're not telling me to lie, they're not telling me what to write. Sure, absolutely. They'll have actual journalists writing actually well-written pieces of article, pieces and articles that are then posted to a website, and then alongside that, they can put out any kind of drivel, inane, fake, horrible literature. So you have kind of like real, absolutely fake and full of disinformation and just ridiculousness, and then real. 1 out of 7. That's all it takes for, someone to be, kind of read a well-researched, well-written article, follow it back to the website that published it, and then on that website, they start seeing other content that is just completely not true. But hey, you've already won over their trust. You've won over that this is a reputable news organization. Completely fine. So that seems to be another venue that these companies are taking, instead of just kind of creating false websites and throwing up any old information that they want. They're trying to legitimize themselves even further in people's minds. So it's a strange new world that we're living in, where where the bad guys are doing actually good work, but just kind of confusing the whole thing. So one thing both of these I love. One thing that I want to cover, so since we were on last, I believe, it might have come out Friday, but, I'm not the biggest Cyberpunk fan. I wanted to address Cyberpunk. In this article, this is my loose association with it, saying that obviously getting a refund for Cyberpunk 2077 is not as easy as CD Projekt Red suggested, saying that our procedure here with Microsoft and Sony is not different than any other title. And that whole thing. So obviously there's like a 14-day window, there's the amount of hours that you play. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Steam and how they do it, where, if you have under like 2 hours played, then that's perfectly fine. You can refund it, no questions asked. That seems to be my favorite, but I digress. The reason I bring this up, Cyberpunk 2077 was in, I think, what many game developers consider to be the best case scenario. But when you really look at it, it might be one of the hardest. It's that this game might have been the most anticipated game ever. Like, releasing trailers in 2012, marketing done out the wazoo for like the entirety of 2019, 2020, delayed umpteenth times. People are just gnashing and just really want to get their hands on it. They're super excited for this. They are almost ravenous for this game. The unfavorable position of this game, I just want to say, is that, well, unless this game is literally an alternate reality, kind of Matrix-esque, and you could take a pill that comes inside your game box, and you are transported directly to Cyberpunk, and you actually live there for the rest of your life. This game was never going to meet the hype. The hype was stronger than any other game in history. I can't even think of a singular game that could have lived up to the expectations that this was. That people think that, oh, it's an 8-year-old game, everything's going to be perfect, everything's going to look amazing. It's been delayed, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. That every little nook and cranny is just going to just be perfect. No glitches, no sound glitches, no logical inconsistencies between the quests. Everything was just going to be so polished. And no, that's just not the case. Cyberpunk was released, and from the limited gameplay that I saw, it looks like a great game. It looks like a lot of fun. It's a single player. It's RPG. It's set in the setting that it promised. Everything looks really good. It's voice acted very well. It's a great game. It is not life altering, I think, like people were expecting. And and of course, for in the chat room mentioned once again, No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky actually fell into the exact same thing. If No Man's Sky didn't have Sony backing it, and don't get me wrong, the money that Sony gave them to finish their game, polish, they were able to actually finish the game and bring it to market. Sony deserves huge props for that No Man's Sky even exists. But Sony gave it a AAA, a kind of a AAA treatment that, hey, this game's going to be great. Everyone should check it out. And, No Man's Sky, when it was released, like there have been documentaries on this, if anyone out there is super, fascinated by this, they gave it the AAA $60, $70 game advertising, and turns out to most people, it was more of a $30 to $40 gaming experience. Like, I think if there was no advertising and it was released for $40, No Man's Sky would have been, people would have been happy with what they got. Instead, they were very, very displeased by the amount of content that was left out and oversold by Sony. Let's see. So with that being said, so Cyberpunk 2077 was just did not live up to what was promised. And I gotta say, I can't think of one game that might be more anticipated. And I'm currently drawing, let's see, simulated game. And I'm trying to think of the exact name of the game. And actually, for it in the chat room, you may actually know this. At $30, happy with No Man's Sky. Yeah, I absolutely think that it was a $30 to $40 game, and the game has certainly gotten better. But it's the game that people will spend literally like a $10,000 like kind of foundation pack, supporter pack that people keep pumping money into, and it's selling itself to be this super grandiose, amazingly detailed, perfectly simulated space game. Star Citizen, yes, he got it right away. Star Citizen might be the only game that might be more anticipated than Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, where the spaceships cost more than actual cars. They mention it's a spiritual successor to Freelancer, and it's currently being developed and it's in development, and famously probably always will be in development. But, there you go. It's they're working on it, so I'm looking forward to when that actually gets released, if it ever does. But my point is with this whole thing, good luck getting a refund. For those of you out there who are looking for a refund for Cyberpunk 2077, it looked like a perfectly playable game. There's nothing game breaking about it. Anyone who is dissatisfied with the state of the game and the features of the game were probably just expecting too much, which is really not an issue. Again, for a game that was hyped up for 8 years, you're going in looking for the best game, not just a good game, or even in some people's case, a great game. Elite Dangerous indeed. So there you go. Swapping stories once again, and I think we can keep it with video games a little bit. Among Us. Speaking of games that were released to a not so favorable impression, for those of you who don't know, Among Us, even though it became an internet sensation and famously at the Video Game Awards, or whatever the most recent Video Game Awards that happened, Among Us was released in 2018, and for some reason, won 2020's Game of the Year. How that happens, I don't know. I feel like, I don't put any stock into the Video Game Awards, and how they're chosen. I also think that the Video Game Awards should probably stick to games that were released that year for contenders for Game of the Year. They should at least have that. So anyways, Among Us, one of the most popular online games, is coming to Nintendo Switch today. There you go. Unlike discovering your best friend has become an imposter this entire time, today's announcement is a welcome surprise for Among Us fans. Nintendo dropped the news as part of its Indie World Showcase event this afternoon. So, with that being said, Among Us picked up awards for Best Multiplayer Game and the Best Mobile Game, and developers partnered with the show itself to reveal a new map that's heading so the players early next year. It's called The Airship, and it mixes up gameplay just a little bit. So, Among Us, if you're into that kind of thing, Nintendo Switch. I've heard really, really good things. Okay. Let's see. There was that one, and let's see. More entertainment news in general. I wanted to cover this one as well. Disney Plus. Check this one out. I in my personal life, not on the show, in my personal life, I have said to my family and friends that I want to rewatch the entire Marvel movie, kind of the Marvel Universe movies. It's huge. There are lots of sequels, lots of prequels. There's tons of different storylines, tons of different characters, and I wanted to, beginning to end, watch it. No easy task. And obviously a lot of people said, why would you want to? That sounds awful. Well, here's the thing. None of your business. So I wanted to watch it, and guess I'm the back. Yeah. So saying that the Marvel character universe is so big that Disney Plus is getting a new Legends clip show to help you keep track. So this is a Cliff Notes for all of the Marvel movies. Marvel Studios Legends, saying that Disney has announced yet another new Marvel series coming to Disney Plus, Marvel Studios Legends. The new ongoing series will showcase individual characters viewers have come to know and love over the years and revisit some of the most iconic moments. In other words, it seems like Marvel Studios is making its own clip show to recap the franchise before its major new releases. Legends will kick off with 2 episodes focusing on the characters of Wanda Maximoff and Vision, respectively, to help refresh viewers' memories of the 2 heroes' history in the previous Marvel films. The episodes will unsurprisingly debut on Disney Plus on January 8th, 2021, just a week before the first episode of WandaVision is due to be released on January 15th. So it seems like, and I'm really hoping it's not just. So back in the day when TV shows actually used to be a thing, they would do this thing where if they needed to round out the the series, let's say the studio ordered 13 episodes, they had 12 episodes. They wanted to for television, because you couldn't just go back and binge it all. You wanted to recap. TV shows would do this thing where they kind of cut up their previous episodes, have the characters sit on a couch and go, remember that time? And then they would flash back to one of the previous episodes. It was a good way to catch up audience members who maybe missed a couple of weeks. It was a very cost-effective way to make an entire new episode out of old episodes. I'm hoping that's not and really and it's also a way to just dump information and storyline so that kind of going into it hey, you're caught up. I'm hoping it's not that it's not just the movies that are already sent out and made their money. I'm hoping it's not just the clips cut out of context, but I hope it's actual like new show that is kind of like instead of having to watch the entirety of like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, if it were, kind of like they said, they're going on a character by character basis, they were to cut up, kind of Iron Man's past and kind of major conflicts and major character interactions and put it in the form of like a 30-minute 40-minute television show instead of having to sit there and watch a 12 hours of movies to get the same knowledge. That would be preferable, but we'll find out. They said that the show was a tacit admission that Marvel's interconnected world of movies and TV shows might just be starting to get a little too unwieldy for the more casual viewers, which honestly I have no problem with. If you can't keep track of it, that's okay. Find some nerd to explain it to you. That's the fun about book series. That's the fun about things like Star Trek and Star Wars, and not even like Star Wars, but like Star Wars extended universe kind of deal where it's like, they can tell you all about the history and all that kind of stuff. Find a nerd, because that's what nerds love. They love when they can deep dive and it's just swarmed and just swim in the information. That's fun. They mentioned that that's a lot of character history, and so 23 films already out and another 10 on the way, along with an upcoming deluge of Disney Plus shows, with 12 Disney Plus shows already announced. So you think about things like, there was things like The Punisher, I think was, I don't know, was The Punisher Marvel? But I'm thinking of like multiple characters that have like their own TV series spinoffs, things like S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. There's a lot. So, and by the way, they even have a link to the upcoming Disney Plus show. So WandaVision, obviously, the Falcon, Loki is getting his own television show. Hawkeye, What If, which is, let's see, gets a new trailer. So an animated series. Phage, which is Ironheart, Dominic. Looks like some more Iron Man stuff. Let's see, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. So lots and lots of television shows and lots of movies coming up, and they're going to hopefully do their thing. So yeah. So with that being said, Disney is definitely doing their thing. It's easy to imagine how Disney will leverage Legends going forward. Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes that remind viewers of Bucky's complicated history, and how other characters ended up with the Captain America shield, or an episode before Loki's debut tracking the time traveling shenanigans of the fan favorite villain. Again, I would like it either way. If it were completely new, and I really do hope it's new, or if it's kind of like a condensed Cliff Note versions of all of that character's past interactions with major plot points. Like the only thing I would hate would be if it's them at kind of like a coffee shop and they're talking with an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they were just like, so here's what happened, and they just show random clips. That would be worst case scenario. Anything that is kind of new and well produced, I would be perfectly okay for. So with that being said, and once again, Marvel's obviously the Marvel shows set for release on Disney Plus include WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, What If, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, and I Am Groot. A lot to follow there, but there you go. So, with that being said, everyone, you can go ahead and check that out. We'll have a link to this whole thing in the show notes, but Disney Plus making Legends. Very cool. All right, so let's close some tabs here, get rid of Star Citizen and Cyberpunk, and let's go ahead and talk about... This is one I've been contributing nothing to because I have no knowledge on Fusion. But boy, if there is a single technology that just makes me so hopeful for the future, this is it. With U.S. physicists rally around ambitious plan to build a fusion power plant. And you can see a diagram of it here. the technology was promised. Well, I guess kind of has been theorized that something like this would be possible within the next 50 to 60 years. And obviously a long-term goal of getting this to work would be something completely new. To be able to use a fusion reactor, so this is nuclear, but it's fusion instead of fission. Obviously, fission, you are taking material and you are splitting atoms. And then, of course, the resulting energy of those bonds breaking, you are then utilizing, turning into heat, steam, blah, blah, blah. Instead of breaking bonds, there is an even better and stronger energy to be harvested with fusion as these particles join together to make new atoms and new elements, just like they do in our star. Well, that means that you would take the most abundant chemical or elements in the universe, such as hydrogen, and turn them into helium. Tons of hydrogen to be had. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. Like, that is our energy source, and a byproduct of that is near limitless energy. Electricity for everyone and electricity for everything. Obviously, there's still challenges of batteries and whatnot, but to be able to generate as much energy and as much electricity as you could want. Imagine if there were no limits to the amount of electricity that you could power, that you could, if you could transport it to everywhere on Earth, everyone forever would just have unlimited electricity for no cost. Like, that is the impact of something like this. And it would obviously be just society changing. This article here from Science Mag, and saying that U.S. physicists rally around ambitious plan to build a fusion power plant. The plan formalizes a goal set out 2 years ago by the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, and embraced in a March report for a 15-month-long fusion community planning process. It also represents a subtle but crucial shift from the basic research that officials in the DOA's Office of Science have favored. The community urgently warns to move forward with fusion in a time scale that can impact climate change. We have to get started. Climate change is also a huge motivating factor. Obviously, nuclear isn't the best choice because there is byproducts, and I know that it can be dealt with safely and it can be buried or reused or recycled. But fusion is an even better one, where it's unlimited energy with really the only byproduct being usable helium or oxygen, or however they decide to finally do this. Much, much better. Fusion scientists and DOE officials strive to avoid the sort of meltdown they suffered during their last planning phase. 6 years ago, the fractious community was already reeling from budget cuts that forced DOE's Fusion Energy Sciences program to shutter one of 3 major experiments. Then, the associate director of the FES decided to write the plan himself with limited input, with many researchers rejected the roadmap. This time, DOE wants no infighting, saying that we've been told in no uncertain terms that either you guys get in line or you're going to get nothing. Here you go. Let's see. So the plan that emerged does not call for a crash effort to build the prototype power plant. During the next decade, fusion research around the world will likely have their hands full of completing and running their ITER, the International Fusion Reactor, under construction in southern France. It's a huge donut-shaped device called the tokamak, and it aims to show in the late 2030s that fusion can produce more energy than goes into heating and squeezing the plasma. And I know I kind of undersold it there, the effects of this, but really that is the point of fusion, is that it's the only energy source that you get more energy out of than you put into it. And obviously, you can think about the ramifications of energy that you get more out of it than you put into it. Because right now, when you burn coal, you burn oil, when you burn natural gas, when you do nuclear fission, things like that, there's always only a limited supply, and you're always losing some form of energy in the whole process. Not so the case here. So they even have a nice little chart here saying that the fusion wish list, saying that U.S. researchers have agreed on the need for projects that would aid in a future power plant and advance basic plasma science. However, funding limits could curtail plans. I hope that more funding is sent to this because, man, this would be an incredible step forward for, I know it seems very grandiose to say, but this would be an amazing step forward for humanity to be able to get unlimited energy, kind of anywhere you are. So with that being said, no matter how things play out, the fusion plan expresses the will of younger scientists who led the community exercise, saying that people don't get into this career just to study the science that may one day, long after they're dead, lead to a fusion reactor. They want to get it going and change the world. So everyone, there you go. Leave you with a hopeful note. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hey, tune in tomorrow. We should have, I believe we have on Darius Derek Shawnee, if I'm not mistaken. And everyone, it's going to be a fun time. Catch you next time. Bye, everyone.